Hello and welcome guys. Today in our video we will be starting with the part 2 of defenses in law of torts. So in part first I have discussed three defenses that are as follows. First is warranty on fit injuria, that is discussed in part 1. Second is act of God. Second is act of God, that is previously discussed. Third is plaintiff's default. So these three defenses are covered initially and you will be getting the link in the description, so check the description box. So in today's video we will be starting with the next four defenses that are available in law of torts. So these are the defenses that will be covered in today's video, these four, and these three are covered previously. So go and watch these three and then come to this video. So starting with first, inevitable accident. Second is private defense, mistake and necessity. So these are the left defenses that are available in law of torts. So we will be starting with this, inevitable accident. So what is inevitable accident will be our first topic in this video. So this is our first topic, inevitable accident. So before starting with the definition, first let me discuss what is accident. Accident is something where there is injury without the intention. No intention is there, but there is injury. So what is inevitable accident? Now the question comes, what is inevitable? It is something that when accident cannot be stopped by any means, then that is known as inevitable accident. So the whole definition will cover essential, these are the two, and one essential more is for inevitable accident is cannot be stopped by any means, in any circumstances, in any other means, by applying any force. This accident, inevitable accident, cannot be stopped. So these are the essentials of inevitable accident. Essentials. Now we will understand this by an example. So what is the example? Example is crashing of plane. When a plane crash, then in that case the injuries that are suffered to the passengers or the injuries that will be suffered where the plane will crash cannot be stopped. So it is a exception, and hence no plane company or no any kind of flight company can be held liable for the damages because it is inevitable accident where no intention is involved, but the accident cannot be stopped by any means, by applying any force. So this is one example. Second is brake fail. If the brakes of car is failed, they are not applying to stop the car, so there is no other means to stop the car. That means the injury that will be suffered to the passengers of the car or any other vehicle will be covered as inevitable accident. There can be compensation, but the compensation is not the right. It is the part of government that they can pay the compensation to the injuries. They do pay the compensation to the injuries that are suffered in road accidents, but this is not the matter of right. So this is part of inevitable accident. So these are the examples. Now we will come to the case law, the real life facts that happened to explain the concept of inevitable accident. So it is a case of inevitable accident. It is a precedent that the case is Assam State Corporation etc. Federation versus Srimati Anubha Sinha. So what happened in this case was, there was a landlord and tenant. So the tenant who used to have the possession on the property of landlord have asked several times to repair the wiring of the house, but the landlord ignored the repairing of wiring. And after some times where there was no mistake of tenant, there happens a short circuit, due to which there was a fire on the property owned by the landlord. So but there was no injury to the tenant. So landlord attempted to claim the compensation from tenant, because his property was destroyed, almost destroyed, so he attempted to claim the compensation from the tenant. But the court held in this case that because the wiring was at fault and the tenant has already informed the landlord about the fault of the wiring, and hence the short circuit happened, and the short circuit, there was no role of the tenant in the short circuit. So the short circuit was held not because of tenant's negligent act. So the court held that it is a case of inevitable accident that cannot be stopped. There is injury, there is no intention, and it cannot be stopped by any means. So it is a case of inevitable accident, and hence the landlord will not get compensation from tenant. So this is the first case of inevitable accident. So second case is Stanley versus Powell. So second case is Stanley versus Powell. So what was this case? In this case, both this person went for pheasant shooting, and during the shooting, it was a shooting from the gun. So during the shooting, the bullet hit an oak tree and reflected back and hurt the plaintiff. So the plaintiff tried to get the compensation from the defendant. So court held that because injury is there and no intention of harming the plaintiff is there, and the bullet was not stoppable by any means, hence the court held that the claim is not maintainable, and hence Powell is out of any liability. So there lies no liability on Powell. So this was the case. Now we will be starting with another topic, that is private defense. So here is the next topic, that is private defense. So what is private defense? Any action that is taken to stop any action. So it is a kind of reaction. So any action to protect. What to protect? Self or property. Now the question comes whether this is limited to self or self property. No, it is not the case. It is limited to self or any other individual. Any other individual, property, self property, as well as any other person property. So it is the scope of private defense that can be used for self as well as for any other individual, for self property as well as for any other property. Now when to use? When there is threat. Of what kind of threat? Threat can be of life or the destruction of property. Destruction of property. Life can be of self or individual, or destruction of property can be both self property or others property. So it can be used. Now, what amount of force to be used? The force must be equivalent to the amount of danger that is approaching you. Suppose any person A is approaching you without any arms, but he is approaching with intention to kill you. With intention to kill B. Suppose B. So he is not having any kind of arms. So you cannot just take a gun and kill it in your private defense. It is not right. So the force that is used for taking private defense must be equivalent to the force that is approaching you. So it must be, while using the private defense, it must be clear that a person A or any other person is approaching with intent to kill you. But you cannot claim that B, a person who thinks that one day A will kill him, and he goes instantly and kill A. So this will not be the example of private defense. Private defense will be when he is approaching you to kill, and then in that case you just repel his action and then A dies. So it will be a private defense. So another example will be, there was a case that a person A was being attacked by mob, and in his defense he shot a gun. He shot a bullet from the gun. And that bullet killed B. who was not the part of mob, and he dies. So here arises the question that B, whose death take place, was not a part of mob. So why A will not be punished? So it is excusable under the private defense that the A was having no intention to kill B, but because of the private defense that he used to save his life from the mob, B was killed. So it can be claimed as private defense. Now starting with the essentials of private defense. The essential is the force that is used for private defense is justified only and only if it is used in case of private defense, not to attack anyone. Second, the force that is used here is justified if it is used against a person who is having a threat to life or property. So it is a very important essential that threat must be there regarding life or property of any person or the person who is using private defense. Third is the force used by attacker is equal to the force used by defender. The force used by defender can never be greater, and the force used by defendant can never be greater, and hence the force that are used by both the parties must be equal in ratio. So these are the essentials of private defense. For the application in court, you can say that the force used by defendant must be reasonable. It cannot be unreasonable. It cannot be so powerful that it implies that he has not used that force for his defense, but he used that force to kill other person. So it must be reasonable. Now moving to the case laws. So here the first case under the heading of private defenses. So this was the case. Here what was the facts were that this plaintiff used a ladder to nail a board on the wall of defendant. On wall of defendant. And what defendant did, he just pushed the ladder, because of which the injuries were suffered by the plaintiff. So this was the background of the case. Now what the court had was that the force used by the defendant was not reasonable. So this was the case of private defense. Another case is, this is the second case, that is Britt versus Holbrook. So what was the case? In this case, the defendant installed spring gun in his land, and the plaintiff, while trespassing, was damaged by those spring gun, because when it entered on his land, the spring guns were activated and hurt the plaintiff. So this was the background of the case. Now the court held that because the defendant was having no reasonable ground that his property will be approached by this person, so the force used for self-defense is an unreasonable force. So the plaintiff was able to get the remuneration or compensation from defendant. So this was the second case of private defense. Now moving on to the third topic. Third topic is mistake. So what is mistake? Mistake can be of two types. First is mistake of fact, and second is mistake of law. So what is mistake of fact and mistake of law? Mistake of fact is something where upon the knowledge of person, the mistake is sometimes excusable. But what is mistake of law? It is never excusable. You cannot take an excuse or a defense of mistake of law that the plaintiff or the defendant was not aware about the law of the land. But what is mistake of fact? Can it be claimed as defense? It is a question. So, mistake of fact can be claimed, but this claim will not remove the liabilities This claim will not remove the liabilities but will make them lighter. So this is a mitigating factor. Mistake of fact. Sometimes when there is a reasonable ground, then in that case court may take this mistake of fact as a proper defense in law of torts. I am talking about law of torts, not IPC. So mistake of fact can be taken sometimes to grant full excuse that there lies no liability. So what is an example of mistake of fact? A person A and his father B. A agrees to sell a property to D. B at the same time agreed to sell the property to E. But this agreement was done before this agreement. But A was not aware about the fact that the property is already sold by his father to this person. So here the agreement that is between A and D will be null and void, and this person will be exempted as mistake of fact. So this is an example, proper example, where if there is no such consequences faced by the person who is second party in this example, who is second party of the agreement, then in that case it can be exempted. Or if the damages that are faced by the second party of the agreement is more, in that case A will have to pay some part of it, but it will obviously mitigate. So this is all about mistake of fact. Now, what are the cases? Case laws. Very important thing is law of torts is case laws. You have to understand each and every case with each and every point. So what is the case? So this is the case of mistake, that is Morrison versus Ritchie and Co. Company. So what was the case? Here the defendant published without intention, in good faith, that plaintiff have given birth to twins. So defendant published in good faith that plaintiff has given birth to twins. Now the reality was that the plaintiff was married 2 days ago. He was married 2 days ago. So in good faith, what the defendant published was acted as defamation. So the court held that here the intention has no matter. It is immaterial whether it was done in good faith or bad faith. But the fact is defamation was there. So the defendant was held liable and was not allowed mistake of fact. Here it was not allowed because he suffered grave injuries. His reputation was totally destroyed. That's why the court did not allow the mistake of fact. So moving on to the next topic, that is necessity. So this is the last topic in our video. Necessity. What is necessity? What are the essentials? Essentials are, it is a kind of accident, not exactly the accident, but it is a kind of. So to prevent greater harm, injury is caused to innocent. Now I will be telling you an example to explain this topic very easily. A is a person who is driving car with 2 passengers, B and C. Suddenly he got to know that brakes are not working. Due to which he has no option other than to just do the trespass and damage the oak tree to save the life. So he chose this option instead of making bigger injury. So to prevent greater harm, does not choose this option and he chose to kill these 3 persons, then it will be a greater harm. But still he chose this to trespass and damage the oak tree to stop the car. So it is a smaller harm as compared to the killing of 3 persons that are sitting in a car. So here it will be exempted. So the trespass with the damage of oak tree to the owner of the land will be exempted, fully exempted. Now here comes one thing that is most important, that if A is alone driving a car, he is not having any passenger, and brakes are failed, same situation, and he has no options left to kill B, to ram the car over B, so he cannot do so. He cannot do so. Why? Because first thing is, both the harms are equal, and for any person will not claim the defense of necessity to save his life only. So if there was a tree or any other thing, then it may be a defense. But if in case B was a person and A was a person and A kills B to prevent the greater harm, saying that I am alive, will not be an excuse. So this is all about necessity. Now starting with the case law of necessity. So first case is Cope versus Shah. So what was the case? In this case, defendant entered in the land of plaintiff in order to stop the fire. Stop the fire that was spreading on the land of plaintiff, and he do so. He stopped the fire. But the plaintiff filed a case of trespass on defendant. So here court held that it is a necessity that to prevent the greater harm, injury was there, but the injury was not that enough, that the trespass cannot be claimed to, because here the defendant violated the law to prevent the greater harm. So it is covered under necessity. So this is all about necessity. So any person, in order to prevent greater harm, can cause injury to innocent. Now what is difference between necessity and private defense? What is the difference between these two? In private defense, there must be injury that is caused to the wrongdoer. In private defense, you have right against the person who is approaching you in order to kill you or in order to damage the property. But in necessity, the injury can be caused to innocent. But there is an exception that I have told you also, that the wrongdoer injury may be caused over there also, but that is limited to some extent. But in necessity, the injury is always caused to innocent because there is no wrongdoer. So this is the difference between private defense and necessity. Now comes what is difference between necessity and inevitable accident. Inevitable accident. So what is difference between necessity and inevitable accident is, in inevitable accident, the accident occurs that is out of control, that accident cannot be controlled by any other person or by any other force. So it is out of control. Injury is there, that is 100% sure, but in necessity, the accident is caused. It is chosen to prefer an accident to prevent the greater harm. So this is the difference between necessity and inevitable accident, and this is the difference between necessity and private defense. So this was the reason why I didn't cover these topics in the previous video, because it is a pretty long topic to understand. Hope so that you understood the video properly. Hope you liked the video, and if you have any question regarding any field of law, then you can please refer to the comment section. That's all. Stay tuned for further updates.